This is a Best in Climate episode of Earth Feels, where each week your hosts Rose and Christine read to you from some of the best climate-related blogs and articles on the web.
Hello, it's Rose here with this week's Best in Climate. This week, I will be reading to you from Thich Nhat Hanh's excellent book, The World We Have. And this book was given to me by a good friend, and I've been enjoying the chapters slowly and really ruminating on each chapter and letting each chapter just sit and percolate, I guess would be the word. This book offers really a vision of the future of our planet and juxtaposes the environmental destruction and Buddhist teachings of interconnectedness. The chapter is called The City with Only One Tree. Imagine a city that has only one tree left. The people who live in this city are mentally ill because they have become so alienated from nature. Finally, a doctor who lives in the city realizes why people are getting sick and offers each of his patients this prescription. Quote, "You are sick because you are cut off from Mother Nature. Every morning, take a bus, go to the tree in the center of the city and hug it for 15 minutes. Look at the beautiful green tree and smell its fragrant bark." Unquote. After 3 months of practicing this, the patients feel much better. But because so many people suffer from the same malady, and the doctor always gives the same prescription, after a short time, the line of people waiting their turn to embrace the tree gets to be very long, more than a mile. And people begin to get impatient. 15 minutes is now too long for each person to hug the tree. So the city council legislates a 5-minute maximum. Then they have to shorten it to 1 minute. And then only a few seconds. Finally, there is no remedy for all the sickness. If we're not mindful, we may soon be in that situation. We have to remember that our bodies are not limited to what lies within the boundaries of our skin. Our bodies are much more immense. We know that if our heart stops beating, the flow of our life will stop. But we don't take the time to notice the many things outside our bodies that are equally essential for our survival. If the ozone layer around the Earth were to disappear for even an instant, we would die. If the sun were to stop shining, the flow of life would stop. Suppose in sitting meditation, I focus my attention on my heart. Breathing in, I am aware of my heart. Breathing out, I smile to my heart. I may realize that the heart inside my body is not my only heart. I have many other hearts. The sun in the sky is also my heart. If my own heart failed, I would die instantly. But if the other heart, the sun, explodes or stops functioning, I will also die right away. The sun is our second heart, our heart outside of our body. It gives all life on earth the warmth necessary for existence. Plants live thanks to the sun. Their leaves absorb the sun's energy, along with carbon dioxide from the air, to produce food for the tree, the flowers, the plankton. And thanks to the plants, we and other animals can live. All of us, people, animals, plants, and minerals, consume the sun directly and indirectly. We cannot begin to describe all the effects of the sun, the great heart outside our body. When we see things in this way, we can easily transcend the duality of self and non-self. We see that we must take care of our environment because the environment is us. When we look at green vegetables, we should know that it's not only the vegetables that are green, but the sun is also green. The green color of the leaves is due to the presence of the sun. Without the sun, no living being could survive. Without sun, water, air, and soil, there would be no vegetables. The vegetables are the coming together of many conditions, near and far. There is no phenomenon in the universe that does not intimately concern us, from a pebble resting at the bottom of the ocean to the movement of a galaxy light years away. All phenomena are interdependent. When we think of a speck of dust, a flower, or a human being, our thinking cannot break loose from the idea of a self, of a solid, permanent thing. We see a line drawn between one and many, this and that. When we truly realize the interdependent nature of the dust, the flower, and the human being, we see that unity cannot exist without diversity. Unity and diversity interpenetrate each other freely. Unity is diversity, and diversity is unity. This is the principle of interbeing. If you are a mountain climber, or someone who enjoys the countryside and the forest, you know that the trees are our lungs outside our bodies. Yet we've acted in a way that's resulted in millions of square miles of land being deforested. And we've also destroyed the air, the rivers, and parts of the ozone layer. We're imprisoned in our small selves, thinking only of having some comfortable conditions for this small self, while we destroy our large self. If we want to change the situation, we must begin by being our true selves. To be our true selves means we have to be the forest, the river, and the ozone layer. If we visualize ourselves as the forest, we will experience the hopes and fears of the trees. If we aren't able to do this, the forest will die, and we lose our chance for peace. When we understand that we inter-are with the trees, we will know that it's up to us to make an effort to keep the trees alive. In the last several decades, our automobiles and factories have created acid rain that has destroyed many trees. Because we inter-are with the trees, we know that if they aren't able to live, we too will disappear very soon. If the earth were your body, you would be able to feel many areas where she is suffering. We are all children of the earth, and at some time, she will take us back to herself again. We are continually arising from Mother Earth, being nurtured by her, and then returning to her. All life is impermanent. Like us, plants are born, live for a period of time, and then return to the earth. When they decompose, they fertilize our gardens. Living vegetables and decomposing vegetables are part of the same reality. Without one, the other cannot be. After 6 months, compost becomes fresh vegetables again. Plants and the earth rely on each other. Whether the earth is fresh, beautiful, and green, or arid and parched depends on the plants. It also depends on us. So many beings in the universe love us unconditionally. A bird's song can express joy, beauty, and purity and invoke us in vitality and love. The trees, the water, and the air don't ask anything of us. They just love us. Even though we need this kind of love, we continue to destroy these things. We should try our best to do the least harm to all living creatures. When we garden, for example, we can learn how to grow certain plants next to our vegetables and flowers that will ward off harmful insects, deer, and rabbits without hurting them. We can use organic repellents instead of chemical pesticides in order to protect birds and honeybees. We can always strive to reduce the harm we cause to other creatures. By destroying the animals, the air, and the trees, we are destroying ourselves. We must learn to practice unconditional love for all beings so that the animals, the air, the trees, and the minerals can continue to be themselves. An oak tree is an oak tree. All it needs to do is to be itself. If an oak tree is less than an oak tree, we will all be in trouble. In our former lives, we were rocks, clouds, and trees. We have also been an oak tree. This is not just Buddhist. It is scientific. We humans are a young species. We were plants, we were trees, and now we have become humans. We have to remember our past existences and be humble. We can learn a lot from an oak tree. Our ecology should be a deep ecology, and not only deep, but universal. There is a pollution in our consciousness. Television, movies, and magazines can be ways of learning, or they can be forms of pollution. They can sow seeds of violence and anxiety in us and pollute our consciousness. These things destroy us in the same way that we destroy our environment by farming with chemicals, clear-cutting trees, and polluting the water. We need to protect the ecological integrity of the earth and an ecology of the mind, or this kind of violence and recklessness will spill over into even more areas of life. We humans think we're intelligent, but an orchid, for example, knows how to produce symmetrical flowers. A snail knows how to make a beautiful, well-proportioned shell. Compared with their knowledge, ours is not worth much at all. We should bow deeply before the orchid and the snail and join our palms reverently before the butterfly and the magnolia tree. The feeling of respect for all species will help us to recognize and cultivate the noblest nature in ourselves. So if you're not familiar with Thich Nhat Hanh, he is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. He's a poet and a scholar, a human rights activist. In fact, in 1967, he was nominated by Martin Luther King for the Nobel Peace Prize. His history is long and storied. He's now 92. I know he had a stroke a number of years ago and is ailing, and I think he has finally been allowed back into his homeland of Vietnam. He was such a peace activist that he refused to take sides during the Vietnam War, and for that reason was not allowed to come back into the country by neither the communist nor the non-communist regimes. He's been traveling the world for many years, speaking and writing numerous books and advocating for peace. This particular book, The World We Have, again, I'll leave a link on our Earth Feels page. This was written in 2008. So his wisdom and his visionary focus precedes all that we're experiencing right now. I highly recommend that you check out some of his other work. Thich Nhat Hanh has been credited with bringing the concepts of mindfulness and interbeing to the West. I'll close now with this one quote of his that I feel sums up the essence of who, as human beings, we should strive to be. We have to walk in a way that we only print peace and serenity on the earth. Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.
That's this week's episode of Best in Climate for Earth Feels.
Special thanks to singer-songwriter Kristen Hoffman for generously allowing us to use Song for the Ocean. Thanks for listening.
Don't forget, subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss an episode. Catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Children of the earth, I'm calling out. There's a mission for you and for me.